Welcome to another 4-Minute Friday. This is where I take a few minutes out to answer some of your fishing related questions. We've got 3 great topics to cover tonight. I can't believe it's nearly the end of August already. But the first topic we're going to be covering is, do you prefer live or dead red maggots during the winter? Can we recommend a rod for general fishing if you're new to the sport? And I've got a great question from someone who's trying his very best to win his club's summer league. Live or dead maggots in winter? Who would have thought 15 years ago that we would be literally buying dead red maggots from the tackle shop? It just shows that, that's another fantastic example of how our sport has changed and how trends have changed through fishing. For me, I love to use dead red maggots all the way through the summer months, but I also carry them in winter as well. One of the things you've got to remember is that maggot that's not moving can be the way to go for bigger fish, and a lot of this depends on the venue that you're fishing. So dead red maggots are a bait that I will carry with me all year round. However, I will openly say to you and share with you that I've definitely seen over the last 2 or 3 winters where a live maggot has been far better to catch a few extra fish than a dead maggot. Whether it's got to be the riddling, that is just something that can sometimes entice you a few more bites than a dead maggot. However, one of the things that you need to be wary of, and this is in my experience, is that a live maggot can be irresistible to small fish. So if you are going somewhere through winter where you just want a few bites, where you're not too fussy about what you're catching, then just bear in mind that sometimes a live maggot will attract small fish. So if you are sticking it out for better stamp fish, you might be better off staying to the dead maggot, because that might just lay there and not get noticed as much, and hopefully that will just give the bigger fish chance to get it. There have been so many newcomers to the sport through this summer, and it's been great to get so many messages from you all. And one of the questions that I've been asked quite often, it's not one really that I've addressed, and that is, can we recommend an average length rod that's going to do lots of different jobs on your local venue? We totally appreciate that if you're new to the sport, you might not even know if it's for you. And let's face it, there are lots of people out there on a limited budget. And whilst I have obviously been in that position in the past, I was always a fan of, if I could have one rod that did lots of jobs, then that's exactly what I would use. One of the things that I've found over the last few years is that by carrying an 11-foot rod, for example, it can do so many different jobs. With an 11-foot rod, you can fish down the margins with it. If you're putting a little method feeder down there, you can fish 4 or 5 meters with it just by underarming it. With an 11-foot rod, when you get good at underarming, you could underarm that out to 20-25 meters, believe it or not. And you could even, on an overhead cast, depending on the strength of the rod and the power of the rod, you could go anything out to 40 meters. So for me, an 11-foot rod is a great all-rounder. I do own 8-foot rods, 9-foot rods, 10-foot rods, but the vast majority of the time I will put an 11-foot rod in, because I know that can cover all those options, and it means I can carry one rod and I don't have to carry 2 or 3 to do lots of different jobs. For me, it just keeps it a lot simpler. And if you're going to go out there and get a rod to do lots of different jobs, and that's the style of fishing that you're doing, where you might be going out to 30-35 meters, an 11-foot rod will do all those jobs for you. As regards a reel, on an 11-foot rod, depending on the brand of the reel, but generally size wise, a 3000 reel should be matched perfectly to an 11-foot rod. So a 3000 size reel on an 11-foot rod is really nicely balanced. And if you are fishing commercials, if you're fishing just natural waters, for me a great all-round line is quite simply 6 pound. 6 pound breaking strain. I use the Matrix Horizon. The diameter of that is 0.18, so it's quite a low diameter 6 pound line, but 6 pound you can do anything with. You can fish for silvers, you can fish for carp with it. To summarise that for you, for me, if you're fishing venues where you're going at anything up to 30-35 metres, 11-foot rod, 3000 reel and a 6 pound main line. And the final question is something that I know lots of you may relate to, and that is, I keep getting asked questions from people who are thinking about stepping up to open match level, but they're still fishing at club level, but they really want to have some success at club level. Now, I spent 15 years, was it, fishing at club level, where I didn't even touch my tattle throughout that period. There was nothing replaced, nothing new. It was tattle back from the early 90s. And what I generally found, I learnt a lot fishing those matches. I never really went out to try and win the league as such. I never really fully committed to it or anything like that, because I wasn't taking my fishing serious until 2010, 2011. So for me, one of the things that I think a lot of people overlook, one of the interesting things that I learned was that there are lots of things, and to be fair, this could warrant its own video, and if it is something you want a more in-depth video about, then please let me know in the comments below and I can certainly put one together for that. But one of the things that I found really useful was that obviously with the club you're not getting different people turning up every week. You know, it's not like an open match. They're the same faces every week, every venue, okay? And the great thing is with that is that you can get to know those anglers. So what you generally find is, and you might have experienced this as well, I certainly experienced it, and that is there were certain anglers in the club, particularly the ones that did well, had got their own way of fishing, they've got their own style, they've got their favoured baits. And one of the key advantages for me was to learn what those favourites were. So there was one angler, for example, who maybe he loved to fish caster shallow. There was another angler who loved to fish chop worm and just fish for anything that swims. Once I got to know that was a great advantage for me, because it meant on those days when I was struggling or I couldn't catch, but I knew that angler was catching, it gave me a great idea as regards how they were fishing and what they were using. That's the benefit of a club scene, you know, you can get to know the same anglers, and it's amazing how many of them have got their own style. Lots of them, some of them never even carry a pole, for example, they would only ever chuck a method feeder. That's great, because if I know that angler's catching or that angler's caught, I know it's on the method feeder. So little details like that can really help you on that club scene, but it's a fantastic foundation. You know, there are so many clubs out there, and it's great to get so many questions from people asking about that sort of thing, because it obviously means that there are so many successful clubs out there still going. Well, I hope once again that you've got some value from this video. If you'd like to ask any of your fishing related questions, please post them in the comments section below, and we really hope that this is going to help you catch a few more fish this summer. So thanks for watching. Please keep the thumbs up going for these videos, and I'll keep producing them, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to get more involved with the channel and see more of our fishing related films. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week.